This is Tom with your fishing report from the Northeast. Water levels are high around the area, especially in some of our streams. Both the Kentucky and the Licking River are running high in the upper portions, so be cautious if you head out. The high water in the upper portions of the Licking is affecting Cave Run Lake. Several ramps and the beaches have been affected, so be sure to contact local federal offices or watch on the federal social media for updates on what is open or closed. With higher water on Cave Run, look for the annual summer muskie flurry of activity to be focused on the inflows of the lake. I'm specifically thinking of the drain underneath 801 in Ramey's Creek and the back end of Beaver Creek by the marina. With higher water, muskie seem to congregate in these areas and wait for adult prey to wash by. If the water is up and in the shoreline vegetation on Cave Run or Grayson Lake, look for channel catfish and largemouth bass up in there feeding. Catfish will be focusing on the terrestrial insects coming up and out of the flooded ground, and the largemouth will be feeding on the other smaller prey fish attracted to the terrestrial insects. With all the flooding and higher water levels around the state, some of your better or more stable areas to fish would be smaller state-owned lakes. Thinking of channel catfish up at Greenbow, blue and channel catfish on Lake Wilgreen, and also the sunfish in about any of our smaller state-owned lakes. In addition to those public bodies of water, there is an abundance of farm ponds in and around the area that also make for excellent summertime fishing. That should do it for us in the Northeast. If you decide to head out, be sure and check ahead on where you plan to go fishing, check conditions, water levels, and if ramps or access points are open, and be sure to stay safe out there on the water.
This is Jeff Crosby with the Central District Fishing Report. Lake temperatures across the area are running in the mid to upper 80s. Fishing has been fairly slow, but hopefully recent rains will make fish a little bit more active here in the near future. It is a good time of year to get out and fish a lot of our area lakes for largemouth bass, being caught on a variety of lures, such as a crankbait, chatterbait, spinnerbait, buzzbaits, as well as fishing plastic worms or creature baits, and fishing along the edge of vegetation or around shoreline cover are very productive areas right now. Additionally, it's a great time of year to fish at night for largemouth bass, especially at lakes like Taylorsville, Harrington, Gist Creek lakes. Try fishing with creature baits or plastic worms around shoreline cover. Additionally, fishing topwater lures such as a buzzbait at night could also be productive at these lakes. It's also a good time of year to get out and try fishing for some panfish at some of our local lakes like Corinth, Beaver, Elmer, and McNeely Lakes. Try red worms, wax worms, millworms, fished under a bobber in about 2 to 3 foot of water. Fish along the shoreline cover, which is mainly vegetation in these lakes. Also concentrate on the small pockets, the little ins and outs along the shoreline of these lakes to catch a few of these fish. And finally, don't forget about your local fins lakes in your area. Many have been recently stocked with channel catfish in the past couple months. Check out the department's website at fw.ky.gov for a complete list of fins lakes in your area. So grab a pole and enjoy some great summertime fishing, and I hope to see you on the water.
This is Adam Martin with your Western District Fishing Report. At Kentucky and Barkley Lakes, water temps are still in the high 80s, and the lakes will slowly drop from 358 to 357 over the next 2 weeks. Luckily, the air temps have given us some relief, and the rain and drawdown have increased the average discharge at Kentucky Dam to around 30,000 cubic feet per second. This is welcome news for anglers targeting blue catfish on the main channel. This is still your best option for catching the most fish, but you can expect to start picking up some more yellow and white bass on the channel edges as well. Bass anglers have been finding some small schools on the ledges, but for the most part the bite has been more consistent in the shallows. Chunk rock points and flooded cover have been the most productive locations, and anglers are still catching high numbers of smallmouth bass. This shallow bite is only going to intensify as we head into the fall. The shad will move shallow and the bass will be there to take advantage. The tailwaters have been fishing really well lately thanks to the slight increase in current. Each year, depending on availability, the department stocks striped bass or hybrid striped bass into the Kentucky and Barkley tailwaters. The number of stripers are also occasionally increased by a natural spawn. Most anglers target these fish with swim baits or live shad collected in the tailwaters. Letting the bait drift around the current breaks is typically the best strategy. Now, if you do decide to collect live fish as bait in the tailwaters, remember it is illegal to transport live, wild-caught bait fish between water bodies, so you'll need to use them right then and there. You will also catch white bass while you're striper fishing below the dams, and it's potentially important to be able to tell the difference between whites, stripers, and their hybrids. True striped bass have a size limit of 15 inches and a daily limit of 5. White and hybrids have no minimum size limit, but the combined daily limit is 15 fish, and only 5 of them can be over 15 inches. You can find these regulations and descriptions of these species in our fishing guide, as well as other websites. But the body shape, the lines on the side, and the tooth patch variations are the factors you're going to need to look at to identify these fish, with the tooth patch being the most important factor and the one I rely on the most. Now, these stripers get huge, so I encourage you to try it out. As always, if you decide to get out on the water, stay safe and always wear your life jackets and kill switches. Good luck.